This is Harold H.B. Bell, and you're listening to The Spectrum, Autism Parent Care. Each week is bringing you videos and podcasts that is explaining autism the best way we can. Dr. Jane Yip, the founder of Autism Parent Care, myself, a registered behavior technician out here at the center. We just found out in our dialogues, Dr. Yip, that there is just a big chasm between what we know working every day in this field, the language we use, and then the people that we're hoping to receive this information, because they don't talk this term and they don't talk this language every single day. And you've often told me that autism or any other child or adult with special needs is more than a family affair. And we know that if we get the input from those family members and caregivers, that these children just have probably a 70-80% better chance of living as close to neurotypical as possible. Talk about that for me.
Well, the solution does not just lie on the hands of parents, family, caregivers alone. And actually, the whole society need to take responsibility, because society is impacted by this. Many agencies and many fields. The first level of society that's impacted are the education facilities, the daycares and the schools, and you know what happened with the school, handling children on the spectrum, right? Not only do they have that, they have all kinds of special needs children. We have IEPs, so the schools are scrambling to deal with them.
Because they don't have the quality people in place to do some of the therapy that we know works for these children on the spectrum. So when you start just mixing a group of people who have special needs in one room, that is like a melting pot of disaster, it would seem like, because all of these kids are going to need something different individually.
Yes, because each of them needs particular care, right? Better understanding. I understand schools are strapped for funds and also, you know, training and things like that. Also understanding, I also understand from their perspective. This is something that society need to rise to the occasion. They need to be provided with more funding and help. Number one, medical services. So the physical constitution of somebody on the spectrum is different. For example, there are lots of digestive problems, gastrointestinal problems, or allergies, and medical needs, and also they have needs for a lot of service providers, speech therapists, ABA therapy, and all kinds of therapies that they need. It impacts society because services needs to be created.
Sounds like what you're saying to me is you can pay us now to get the services we need, or you can pay us later, because everything is going to be impacted, from the schools to the courthouses to financial institutions, whatever it might be, because we're going to have to figure out a way to take care of these people once they become adults. So it would seem like let's invest early, so when they become adults, they're contributing to this economic system in society.
Rather than being a liability.
Absolutely.
Every level of society is impacted. So actually, the Harvard University research study shows that for every dollar that is spent in early intervention, you get $9 back.
Yeah, and we looked at that chart and I was amazed, and I didn't even want to go into that because it would confuse a lot of people, because the numbers are astounding when you look at if we invest early and be proactive versus letting situations draw themselves down until 18, 20, 21 years of age. And now, as you mentioned, these people are wards of the state. Let's talk about that, and I'm kind of switching around. Long-term care for some of these people that we're talking about, because we know once they get 18 years of age, a lot of times insurances are stripped. Parents are at wit's end and they're trying to figure out, how do I get rid of this child that I got to take care of the rest of the life? And unfortunately, that's the case. What do we do about trying to establish long care solutions for people who might be functional in the workplace, might be functional, but they're going to need some attention when they get off work and just to help with their everyday living?
Yes, we definitely need more provision that in society. Right now we have group homes, not enough of them, and we need a better solution that is cost effective for the community as well as effective for the person. And we do have quite high numbers of individuals on the autism spectrum. It's a question we are yet to answer.
And that question is being answered because I think about 25 years ago, we were looking at 1 out of every 82 people born on the spectrum, and now I believe we're down as low as 1 out of every 54 or something in that area. I mean, it fluctuates, but I'm 1 or 2 numbers within the right area right now. So when we start talking about that, that means that more children are going to be diagnosed, more help is going to be needed. What can we do to the employers out here to get them to understand that these are some highly functional people? You're probably going to get a better employee if we can plug them into the right place, because they don't have deceptive motivations most of the time. They're not trying to be late for work or seeing how they can get over on the workplace. How important is it for these employers to open their doors up and say, let me hire some of these people who have the skills to do the job I need?
Yes, so good question here. And there are so many people, so they cannot all be on disability insurance, right? So, and they are employable. However, working with them require the employer to really understand and tweaking. Yes, they can be pretty, what do you call it? They can be hardworking because they will go on and do something again and again. They don't mind the grind.
Because many of them are ADHD, OCD. They've got some situations a lot of times that continuous over and over isn't a problem for them, which is a good thing in the workplace.
It's a good thing. However, you have to motivate them. You need to know how to work with them, because you cannot just go to them and say, hey, do this. It's not going to work, right? So there is a motivation piece. There are many pieces that is needed for them to be functional.
You know, and this is interesting as we move on, as we, come to the close of today's segment. We talk candidly, Dr. Yip, about the disparities in our country right now. Disparities from people of color, disparities against women, disparities against, it's just whatever your political, it's just disparities all over the place. And we know for the people who are on the spectrum and the families who are dealing with children on autism, dealing with children who have autism, all of these same ingredients are in this, from economics to education to low income to everything is included in all those other elements of oppression in our society.
Correct.
Talk about it from the spectrum of autism and how those parents and those caregivers are having it rough and having to deal with the same drama that all oppressed societies and individuals are.
Yes, so this is a very important question. Thanks for the question. We are yet to actually build a bridge for people on the spectrum. There is no precedence right now. So depending on where you are on the socio-economic scale, so to speak, right? So from what I have seen, the two ends of the scale seems to not deal with autism really well. The lower income end, because they lack information, they lack the resources and the ability to seek help and things like that. Plus, just not knowing what to do with them. That's the lower income. The top 1% also have a problem because they find it really difficult to accept imperfection.
They don't want to deal with the reality.
They don't want to deal with the reality. They like their cocoon life. So I have worked with children with the top 1%, and it is really difficult to convey the message that you guys need to put in some effort and be all in on that. So the either end of the socio-economic group, right, does not seem to fare well, and we need to send the message to both ends of the economic spectrum. The middle class people actually, lower middle to the middle, parents in that class seems to do quite well because they have learned the lesson of putting in effort and getting a reward.
More well-rounded.
They understand that relationship, and they all understand that they want their children to do better, so they do invest. They see why. They see what it will lead to. You see, the middle class people. So my message to the two ends, the low income and the very, very high income people, is look at your child. They are people too. and you have to change your thinking. And when you do, you will find that there is a gift in life that is waiting for you, called life lesson.
And it sounds like what we're needing is some continuous dialogue and come togetherness of all these different spokes in the wheel, so to speak. We need the economic people there. We need the religious groups there. We need the educators there. We need everybody there in the room so we can say, here is a whole full approach of how we can help parents and the children on the spectrum. And you were talking about the Millennial Economic Development Forum for Disability. In 2013, reached an international agreement in the form of a bill to provide for all persons with disabilities some help. Talk about that as we close this up.
Okay, in 2013, the United Nations have set up a Disability Act where many countries signed up. And what they signed on is agreement to provide the economic, social, and employment opportunities for people with disability. So, we all agreed to do this. Now let's do it.
Absolutely.
And that's what we are saying. And, everybody needs to be gainfully employed to the best of our ability.
Everybody.
That's when society flourish.
Absolutely.
When society flourish, family flourish. And when families flourish, the couple, right? The individual flourish as well. Don't we want a world like that?
I'm glad we brought this full circle as you listen to the Spectrum today, because we started talking about the parent-child dynamic, and then we went on to what you can do after you find out the parent-parent dynamic. Also ways that you can improve some of the help that your children receive. And we came all the way back around, Dr. Jane, to parents. Hey, it's rough, but you're gonna have to stick together if you want the best for your child. Nobody asked for this. But together, with some of the help that Dr. Jane Yip is providing here on the Spectrum, and some of the help from your community, some of the help from your therapist, we can make this happen. Remember, your child is the most important. That's why we're bringing you the Spectrum Autism Parent Care. Dr. Jane Yip, thank you as always for giving this great information to our listening audience, and we'll be back with some more broadcasts for you soon.